Okay guys, I have these two potted plants here that I got from the grocery store. It was Easter last Sunday, and my wife wanted to have fresh mozzarella with tomato and basil, and you need fresh basil for that. You can't use the dried stuff. It's still a little too early here for my basil plants or tomato plants to be ready, so I had to break down and actually buy these things that I'm going to be up to my neck in about a month. I went to go see if I could just buy some jewel packs of fresh basil. They wanted $4 or $5 for a jewel pack of pretty bad looking leaves. I went out to the garden center and Bonnie wanted $3.50 for one plant that was still too small for me to use for the meal. So I went in, and in the produce section, actually where you would buy your fruits and vegetables, they had these packs here. The basil was, I believe, $2.49 for this plant, and the plant was all the way up to here. I mean, it was overflowing the top of the package. And rosemary. We didn't need rosemary, but my rosemary died last year, and this plant looked pretty good, so I decided to take it. So what we need to do with these, though, in order to keep them going, is take them out of the small pot that they're in, separate out the plants to see how many different plants we can get, and repot them. Then I'm going to have to be very, very careful about how I introduce them to the outside world, because they have been growing inside a grocery store for the last, well, basically their entire life. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to take the rosemary out of its package. As you can see, there's several stems in here. And there's probably a couple of different plants in there. And it's starting to droop because I cut half the plant off the other day, and it's under a little stress, and it's still wet, but this thing probably survives on a steady supply of inorganic fertilizer, even though the package says organic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of this package and place it in a tub of water. Oops. I'm sure my head's cut off in these shots, but it's more important that you see these. And I'm going to just start teasing these apart. I've seen a bunch of people do this with different plants. Onions in particular this is a good method for them. And then we'll see what we can do. I mean, either it'll work or it won't, right? And that's a lot of my gardening philosophy. Either it'll work or it won't. It's either going to come through to where you get what you want out of it, or unfortunately some plants die. It's part of the fun is experimentation. You are really going to see a lot of experimentation on this channel if you watch for any length of time. Yeah, these are really intertwined, so I'm going to have to actually rip a few. Let's see what we got here. Try to be as gentle as you can. But there's a difference between being gentle and spending the rest of your life doing something. Here we go. It's starting to come out now. I'm probably going to need more pots than what I started off with here. Okay. There you go. There's a root system for you. These I'll probably use in dinner tonight, these small ones. But a good portion of that is the basil plant. There's some roots for that basil plant. That's pretty good. Look at that. If I handle these right, I'm hoping, if I can get some of this perlite off me, I'm hoping that I'm going to have a bunch of sweet basil. So let's set this aside. I've got a couple pots already set up. I hope that this isn't too big for the scene. Alright, so I'm going to go with the one that has the most possibility of success first, which I'm going to deem as this one here. Make sure I have plenty of space for the roots down there. Backfill it. Secure it in there. There you go. One basil plant. And as you're going to be able to see over all my videos, most of these pots are all recycled. I think the last one I had the Hardy Purple Mums sign pointed towards you. Look at that. That's a good plant. I probably should take those leaves off to reduce stress, but I'm going to leave them on because, well, because I'm going to. This is the same potting mix I just used for the zucchini experiment. Alright, here's another one with a good root system. Tease these along here. This one's more of a stick, but that might actually work out to its benefit. Who knows? We'll follow these over the next couple of weeks and see how they do. Now, I had actually made a couple of pots for the rosemary, but I believe I got a couple of basil plants I'm just gonna stick in there. You know, I could have probably gone with a little smaller pots for these, but I don't like to change pots. If I'm going to do a job, I want to do it one time, and I don't want to have to do it again. So that's the lazy part of me. You know, if I'm going to mess with it, I'll mess with it once, and then I'll move on to something else, because I have no attention span. There you go. I hope that helped you out. I hope that's something that you can consider the next time you go and you want to buy some herbs that at the grocery store and they seem a bit pricey for what they are. If you do this and keep them in the house, or if you have a grow light, this will really save you a lot of money. Herbs are very expensive, and they're easy enough to grow. They really take very little in the way of resources. So that's that portion. I'm going to cut away now. I'm going to do the same thing with the rosemary. I'm not going to bore you through doing the same thing again. I'll probably give you a clip at the end that shows you the result of that. And then there'll be a garden tour. And then I'll say adios until next time I make a video. Thank you for all those people who have subscribed. If you want to subscribe, please do below. Any comments, I'd be happy to hear from you, good or bad. And I'll talk to you in a minute. Okay guys, here is what I've accomplished so far as the transplants go. These are all the smaller. I found a whole bunch of smaller little basil plants off of that larger plant that had a decent root system, so I put them in there. Everything looks a little sad right now, but hopefully at least half of these will grow better, and even if I only get 2 or 3 plants off of this, it's still better than the alternative, which is just having it die, because they are really, really root bound. The rosemary had one. It was only 1 plant, so I just put it up into a larger pot, which is going to make it much, much happier, because the roots in that thing were just packed tight. I don't think it could have lasted much longer like that. Since I have it out here, there's my sweet potato that I'm growing. Every year I do this. I have 3 or 4 of these, and each one of these is a plant. I'm a little late this year. I'm sure Picker Rick has got his all ready to go, ready to have a nice day. So there's that, and here's the zucchini trials over here. While I've got you guys up and walking around, I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to start the garden tour. Well, while we're here on the porch, I might as well start here. Dill, poppies, one of the basil plants I didn't have a spot for, and I forget what it's called. That's a dog. He's not planted. He's just a giant pain in the butt. And this is the destroyer of all things garden. I tried to make a video of this before, and I wasn't able to upload it. I had a lot of trouble uploading it, and there might be some of these clips that are a little bit disjointed because I have a hard time editing and getting things to upload within a day or two. It seems to take an awful long time for things to upload. So you might not even be seeing this. I could be wasting my breath. But in this corner, this is my original garden. Some of the things I'm going to say here are a little anti-permaculture. Not because I'm anti-permaculture, but because my situation is making me put lawn back in where I used to have productive garden space. Because I'm going to be selling this house. So anybody who wants to buy a house in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in about 2 years, send me a private message. We need to talk. I have some garden space already set up on the property, so you don't have to do that. So let's take a quick look around. Oh, there's my shadow. Right here we have some, oops, but I'm not making me dizzy. I have some spinach with carrots growing through and some onions in a tire. This area here is going to be, I'm going to plant some of the squash over here. And I've got some onions behind there, basically because I'm transplanting the onions from this mound that I was using as a planting medium last year. It's wood chips and rabbit manure and leaves and soil and compost. But this is going to be lawn, unfortunately. And I have to move all of this out so I can plant here. Please excuse the mess. This is kind of a working area here. This is my potatoes I planted the earliest. Now I just watched Blue Star Dave in his potato planting, and I see that Aaron and Aaron's allotment. Hello guys, you guys are all planting well. These are Yukon Gold that went to seed or started chitting or whatever you want to call it on my counter. I've earthed them up one time, and I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to let the plants grow from here on out. They're probably about a foot underground. I tried to earth things up last year, and it didn't seem to do any good. I didn't seem to get any extra potatoes out of it, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. The grate that's over top of the potatoes is to keep Destroyer of All Things Garden out of it as best as I can. It's not really working. And I have some peas planted along the front. I'm going to pause here and take you across the compound, as so to speak, and show you the main garden. Alright, I'm going to start us outside the garden fence. For a look this way. I like this view because it has my blackberry bush. It's growing well, and it looks as though we're getting ready to flower and possibly fruit here in a little while. This is 1 year old. I have it in a pot because I want to take it with me in 2 years when I get my property. I don't know if I've explained to you guys, but I'm going to be moving to a larger piece of property where I can really do what I want. The house that I'm in now, when I moved down from New Jersey, is in South Carolina, and they have what's called a homeowners association, which means that they have a lot of rules about what you can and cannot do on your own property, which drives me, well, there's a lot of choice words I'd like to use. I have potatoes planted in bags. This is a smaller one. It got we actually had a 29-degree snap the other day, which killed off a lot of the leaves in the bags. I try to recycle the dog food bags to use for a lot of different purposes. Hauling dirt, picking up horse manure from the horse farm, and this year I'm trying to plant potatoes in there and see how that works. Back in my garden here, I've got more broccoli growing. In front of that, little gem lettuce and Swiss chard. Got a line of dill planted here, which evidently is not really supposed to be planted that close to brassicas. They seem to be fine together. I've got a line of onions and garlic. The garlic has pretty much gone feral on my property. I've been having a lot of good luck with garlic. I can pull up in clumps where it's been growing all year and replant bulbs, and I've still got plenty from last year. I've got carrots planted in this area here, again with garlic along the front. I've got several pepper plants probably planted too close together. They're hard to see from this angle, maybe from the other side. And beets mixed in with all that garlic and cilantro in the corner. These are two of my potato bags that didn't do terribly well with the frost. They got killed back. There's still some life in there, so I'm going to let them go, and hopefully it'll resolve itself, or I've just wasted 3 or 4 seed potatoes, no big whoop. I'm going to bring you around to the other side now, and we'll walk through there. Just quickly, this is the front side of what I just showed you. I've got peas planted in here. I don't know if it's going to come across well. Now, one pea plant taking off like crazy, and the other one's just kind of muddling along, so I don't know what the difference is. And the front side of that bed I just showed you. just looking at it from a different perspective. So I'm not going to go through all that. You can probably see the pepper plants better. These are the sweet green peppers I got from Ray at the Praxis channel. Thank you, Ray. My strawberries, they're growing big, but they're not filling in the way I want them to. This is the third year with these strawberries. I've got a few off last year, but not too many. Have a mix cut and come again salad garden started here with, again, the ubiquitous onions planted in the middle there. Got marigolds. There, I actually got a flower in a marigold. That's nice. This was a hugelkultur bed. I've got some tomatoes, sunflowers planted in here. They're not doing all that well. I think they stay too wet. So I'm going to try, all I'm going to do is add a little bit of magnesium with the Epsom salts and see if that doesn't help perk it up. But otherwise, I'm just going to leave it alone. This is my barrel O carrots and onions. I'm trying carrots in different areas because I usually get them pretty stunted. I'm hoping for a little better result here. Again, this was another part of the hugelkultur bed. It's not mounded up. The wood is buried, but it stays very wet here, and all the water drains this way. And that's going to be a blessing in the summertime, but for right now, it's really kind of stressing things out. Here's basil I had grown from seed. I've got some purple basil as well. Hopefully that's in focus. I'm letting this broccoli go to seed. I'm going to be taking the seed off of this. I got a lot of good meals out of this broccoli. It's all eaten up. I'm going to turn you around here to show you the main broccoli bed. Again, this stuff is all bolting. This is going to get taken out. I'm probably going to do a video on that for next week. This is all going to get taken out, cardboard put down. All that soil from the other side is going to get put on top of this, and beans, green beans, planted in here. I'm still picking some of the side shoots here for my salads. I like the real small flowerets like that there in my salads. I think it's really good. And I've got oregano planted in that pot there. Over this side is a real success story when it comes to potatoes. Here's more potatoes in bags, growing gangbusters. These did not suffer any frost because I had them just a little bit different area. And they're really growing great. I'm going to probably earth this up a little bit more, and then I'm going to leave them alone. They're surrounding a blueberry bush, which this is the third year for the blueberry bush. My blueberry plants, I got 1, 2, and a low bush variety here. Basically, these are treats for the birds. The birds get to come in here and eat up the berries. I get very few of them. I should put netting over it. And calendula there. Now, very interesting stuff through the magical gate. Here we go through the magical gate. Ba-da! Trash. We got trash. A lot of trash. This is where I cut the sticks. My first video was about using what you have on site. And so I made, a forest essentially of cut stakes for my tomato plants. Tomato plants are doing really, really well. Oops, so is my shadow. I'll do it this way. Right down the line. They've really taken off since I've planted them over here. They're in a mixture of compost, horse manure, with cardboard underneath to keep the weeds down. In this area here, I've got a couple of cucumbers started in the ground there. They're going to grow up over this old potting, I don't know what you call it, potting shelf system. And I've got another tomato in the corner there. I don't know if you can see. There he is. And I've got a whole bunch of marigolds and basil along the side here. Give you a little different perspective. I'll move you over to the other side. Hold on.